This has made me rethink my stance on modern toys. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back. Now, I may not have said this publicly, but I'll say this now. I have been of the opinion that modern toys, such as these Masters of the Universe Origins, did not need to have the same action features they did when we were kids, simply because I believe that as adults, we're really not going to be playing with these, and these are just going to be put on display and looked at. And with that being the case, it doesn't need to have fancy action features. However, having just received my Ground Ripper with Mekaneck, I'm beginning to sort of rethink that stance. Let me explain. So obviously, as you all know, this is the Origins version of the Ground Ripper with Mekaneck. And in both cases, being the figure and the vehicle, neither possess the same action features the originals did. And I was okay with that until it arrived. And looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, would it really have been that difficult to have given us the ripcord to make this thing ride, to give Mekaneck his normal feature? I should point out as well, I do have a vintage Mekaneck somewhere. It's in storage, and I'll be damned if I could find it for this video, but in case you don't know, it was a case of twisting his waist and his neck would pop up. Now in this case, they give us an extra piece to swap out to put into his neck joint, which is very poor in my opinion, especially given the price point. I think this was about $32, $33. And as I just mentioned, neither possess any sort of action features that made the originals so special. But before I go running my mouth here, let's get these out and see if I am correct in thinking that this has been a big blunder from Mattel. So, out the package, what do we have? We have the Ground Ripper with Mekaneck, we have a different mantle to put on the Ground Ripper, and we have the extended neck piece. So I'll start with the Ground Ripper. This is somewhat disappointing because it does not have the ripcord feature. Now, despite not having had this as a kid, I did have a number of toys that came with ripcords, and those were so much fun to play with, and I would have liked to have had the chance just to do that for one last time. As it is, it's been made in such a way that it's extremely smooth and it rolls very well, so if you felt so inclined, you could probably get on the floor and give this thing a good old race. Not quite as much fun as ripping that cord, but it does function, but just not as it did back in the day. It looks great though, it has to be said, so on display you can't go wrong with this. However, not having that fun feature is a major drawback. Now obviously, safety first, Mekaneck is held in place with a nice little rubber seat belt here, just latches on the side here, so we can take that off. And if you so wish, you can change the mantle here, so that just pops off, and we have the alternate one here. Honestly, I don't know which one I'm going to use. I'll probably flip a coin at some point to decide. But that is the Ground Ripper. Does this plus this equate to some sort of 32 bucks? Not really, but I guess those are the prices of things these days. So all in all, it looks good, it just doesn't play well. Onto Mekaneck, which is a massive disappointment. Now, as I said earlier, I do have the original somewhere. I have a ton of storage boxes in various locations, and I do not know where my original figures are. One of which is Mekaneck, and that one is operated by simply twisting his waist and the neck would shoot up. In this case, we have this extender to stick on to sort of replace that mechanism. Very poor on Mattel's part, but to get him to extend his neck, simply rip his head off. That's a phrase I've heard somewhere else before, but anyway, rip his head off, stick on the extender, just pops into place, and then pop the head back on. Not fun at all, and I don't think there'll be many people displaying their Mekaneck like this because it looks a bit ridiculous, and the fact that you can't control it yourself is a major letdown. And this is where I'm starting to sort of change my stance, where I was of the opinion that as adults we're not going to be playing with these the way we used to as kids, and therefore we're basically buying display pieces. And with that being the case, you don't really need to have any action features if they're just sitting up on a shelf somewhere. However, this has kind of changed my mind because it was such a cool feature of Mekaneck. Now, given that they did do the original feature of some, but not all, of these Masters of the Universe figures, it is rather disappointing that they've overlooked that feature here, because that was the coolest part of Mekaneck. So, as it is, we're left to sort of do things manually, and as I just said, I won't be using this on my display. So, all in all, is it worth the 32 bucks? I guess in this day and age, the way prices are, it's probably not a bad deal. It just would have been nice to have had a bit of fun with it. As it is, your 32 bucks are basically just going for a museum style display piece with no fun play factors, and that's a little bit disappointing. So there you go. I am sort of beginning to change my tune on these, whereby redoing them the way they used to be done, it's not that big of a deal, really, is it? They could have simply just given us the mechanism for the neck, given us a ripcord, let us have our fun, and then put them up on the shelves. So anyway, those are my 2 cents worth. So let me know in the comments, would you have preferred to have seen this done the way it was done back in the 80s with a bit of fun to it? Or are you quite happy just to pay for what are essentially statues that will sit on your shelf? Let me know. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video. Please share the video with your friends. Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s.